driver eligibility unit. This is Bricken. How can I help?
Okay, so you're driver eligibility. Trying to call the. Can you tell me what driver eligibility is?
We deal with driver licenses, ID cards, voter IDs, some aspects of like identity theft stuff.
Can you be more specific and tell me what it actually is?
The unit, that's just the things that we'll deal with. I don't know how to be more specific about it.
Okay, when you say deal with it, what does that mean?
Those are the types of situations that we handle. So we'll issue driver's licenses or reissue them. We'll deal with if a license has trouble with mailing, we handle those cases. Issue ID cards for voting, things like that.
What about the identity theft you mentioned?
So that we help customers who may have gotten caught up in a scam or something, help them protect their driver record from any fraud. We also deal with if a customer committed fraud, I guess, with the DMV. We also handle those kinds of cases and help them with required documents, things like that.
What about the legal aspect of you? Do you handle the legal aspects in your department?
No. We handle what's considered legal presence, which is immigration status cases. We don't handle legal as in lawyers, things like that.
Oh, legal as in lawyer? What do you mean legal as in lawyer?
We aren't a legal department.
Okay, because legal means lawful, legal, legitimate, being in ordinance with the law. So it can mean all sorts of things like conformity with the law of any sort, such as natural, divine, common, or canon, lawful, sovereign. So that's why I'm asking. So if my name is not on my identification or even with court records and things like that, who do I talk to about that? It would be, or I believe that you're what's your name?
My name is Bricken.
I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. So I want to talk to someone about how my name is not accurate on public access websites such as Wisconsin Court Access, different documents, especially with the courts, and that information comes from the Department of Transportation.
Okay, I can look up your record and see if there's any kind of mistakes or see what we can do to help you get your name updated. Could I get your date of birth?
What do you mean updated?
So if there's a correction that needs to be made with your name, I can see if that's something that we can update.
But are you the person to talk to about that? To have that conversation with?
Yes, I can help you with that.
But is that your department?
Yes, that is what we do. We make updates to records.
Because you did not say that. That's why I asked you what all that you do in your department, but you didn't mention that.
I can't possibly list every single thing that my unit does.
Why not?
So I apologize for
Why?
that.
Why couldn't you?
Can I get your date of birth to look
No,
up
why?
for you?
No. Why can't you list everything that your unit does?
Because it's an impossibly long list.
Well, then why is it there if it's so impossible? And where is that list found? And you can tell me what you do at that job. You work. What's the name of your where I called?
This is the driver eligibility unit of the Division of Motor Vehicles.
Okay. And so are you also known as the Department of Transportation?
Yes, those are all within the Department of Transportation.
Okay, because I did call the Department of Transportation, and if you work as a state of Wisconsin employee, you have to answer questions, and you cannot just pick and choose when you want to decide to do your job or when you want to describe something and just say something out of your mouth that you find like that I might want to hear. You just mentioned a few subjects, and that's an ethical problem. If you have a long list and you choose which ones you want to talk about to me, that is some unfairness, and that is really a problem. And then you're also saying that it's an impossibly long list. So why do you have that job if it's so impossible?
Just saying that it's a long list of things, and I can't remember every single thing that I do that's within my job description.
Okay, but you know what your job
I apologize.
does.
I apologize that I did not tell you every single thing when you asked. I gave you a broad list of what we do. I am trying to assist you with your issue, and you are not allowing me to do that. That is what I'm here for, is I'm here to answer those questions.
No, one thing that you are not going to do to me is be dishonest. You're not going to tell me what I'm doing. You're not going to tell me what I'm not doing. That is not true. I asked you a question that had something specifically to do with the reason for my call. You chose to remember what you want to remember, or you chose to say whatever. So since you cannot remember that, there is a list, and I also asked you to look at that list and tell me from the list. You have it, you know it, it's available. Tell it to me. Because I have many matters that I have to talk to the Department of Motor Vehicle about. And if you cannot remember your job, you should get to remembering. That doesn't make sense that you call and you are voiding important pieces of everyday problems at your job. You cannot do that. You have to make sure that you have a paper, something there that's going to keep you logical, proper, accurate, professional, eligible for your job. And it's no excuse for that, especially when I'm asking you and you're refusing to talk to me about it. And then you mention some things, and then I'm trying to ask you to transfer me to another department so I can talk to what I want to talk about, because you made it seem like you only described those specific things, and I asked you to make sure, and that's all you mentioned. You did not say here are some of the things. You said to me as if those were the only listings that you did in your unit, as you call it, and you know that. So I'm not here to pretend. I'm not here to do anything dealing and rewriting history or any of that stuff. I'm here to be real. I'm professional, and I do not have to allow or accept anyone doing any less than what their job entails, being a state of Wisconsin employee. You work as a state employee. You get paid from taxpayers' money. Even if you did not, you work there, and when someone calls to the Department of Motor Vehicle about a lot of situations, you have to be prompt and sufficient, and you have to be knowledgeable about your job, and you choose not to. And then I had to ask questions, and then you wanted to avoid the question. So it's not all about you not remembering. You made a choice. I asked you the question. Answer the question that I asked you first. Why isn't it being productive? No. Yes, I
know every single thing that I do at my job.
And so how is my call to Department of Motor Vehicle not being productive? How is it not being productive?
Because you're not asking any questions.
I asked you a question.
You're not asking any questions that I can answer. Okay,
that
please
is not
restate your
true.
question for me so that I can answer it.
Get a list of all of the things that your unit does. And tell them to me. Because I can. Because I asked you. That's why. And you are getting to the point where you're being very disrespectful too. And then you're telling me that this call is unproductive because you are choosing not to do your job. You are choosing to be, lazy. And you have also said some very unprofessional things to me. Exactly. This is stupid ass bitch shit that these stupid ass entitled hoes do all the time. I'm telling you, these bitches don't work. They sit there and they get a pass because they white. It's something. Fuck that. And it ain't only white people, but I'm telling you, motherfuckers sitting in Department of Motor Vehicle on bullshit. Fuck you, bitch. And then they steady telling me how unproductive I am. Unproductive only to a person that's not doing your job. That you have to work now. And then you gonna try to make it seem like I'm doing something wrong. No. You better go do something. Go get yourself something. Everything that I said was legitimate and have been legitimate. I even told her to get the list. I didn't say you stupid because you don't remember. See what I'm saying? But she want to tell me I'm unproductive and then put the call on music. Hello? Because I'm not here to play around with you. You went and played music on the phone as I was talking to you. You are very comfortable with being disrespectful in that job that you have. And I do not appreciate that. What gives you such activity to treat this position that way? And then you're telling me that my call is being unproductive. You're disrespecting me about my own matters. This is a problem. No, you cannot sit here and play around and act like you gonna bust and bully at that job. That's not what you're gonna do. You're not gonna keep getting away with that because your attitude is unethical, it's unprofessional, and it's ineligible for the job that you have. It's one thing about you. No, I did not tell you my feelings. That's another problem. I asked you already. Tell me all of what you do in the unit that you work at. Tell me all of the listings that you cover and that you handle.
Okay. We notate records that have been...
Can you speak up so I can hear you better, please? Can you speak up so I can hear you better? I want to hear all the words. I want to make sure I hear it all.
We notate records that have had fraud committed on them. We notate records when people submit fraudulent documents to us. We remove those notations when customers comply with the documentation requirements that we have for them. We update records when customers are concerned that there may be fraud on their records or that somebody may try to commit fraud on their record, and we add notations to protect them. And then we can remove those notations when the customer presents documentation or when they'd like to have that removed. We handle cancellations of driver's licenses and ID cards due to fraud, due to improper sponsorship for minors, due to driver's education issues, due to lots of things, medical issues, or mostly fraud that we deal with. We handle the Department of Corrections processing of cards. We do record corrections, so if things go wrong on a record, somebody makes a mistake, we correct that for the customer to give them correct products, things like that. We handle legal presence, which is like immigration status, so like if you're a citizen or you're a permanent resident, things like that. We handle the documentation for that when processors at DMVs need assistance. We also answer any questions that customers have about those documentations to see if they're acceptable documents.
Hello, what is DMV? Can you not abbreviate? Can you say the full word of everything that you say when you are describing everything that you're saying? I have to hear the exact words. No abbreviation, please.
Okay. We also handle military handling like extensions for military folks, so when they're active duty, giving them valid licenses, as well as early renewals for folks that are heading into the military. We handle photos. So if you request your own photo from the DMV, we're the folks that will process that request and get you that report. We handle a lot of what we do is helping DMV processors, like when you physically go into the DMV, if that processor
You
there
keep
needs
saying
assistance with
DMV,
something.
but you keep saying DMV, and I asked you not to do that. What is DMV?
I apologize. DMV
Oh, okay.
is Division of Motor Vehicles.
Well,
I
then say
apologize
that.
for that.
No.
I didn't realize I was doing it.
Well, you have to talk professionally. I don't know why you have a job like that and you can't find any sort of enrichment in it.
Okay. So we will help the processors at the Division of Motor Vehicles customer service centers.
So is the division or the department? Is it the division? What is it? Is it the division or the department?
It's a division.
So it is not the department.
It's not the Department of Motor Vehicles. It is the Division of Motor Vehicles.
And so you are at the Division of Motor Vehicles.
Correct.
And so continue to say what you're saying, because I asked about the Department of Motor Vehicles. Go ahead. Go right ahead. Department of Transportation. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. We also handle
and
identification cards that are for voting purposes, to get customers identification for voting. If they don't have all documentation for like a regular identification product, we help them get identification for voting and handle those applications. And then we also just answer public calls and public emails from customers about questions that they may have about any of the things that I just mentioned.
Is that where did you get that information from that you just read?
I didn't read it off. I have procedures in front of me that are like internal procedures, and I looked at those.
Right, but you didn't read everything, though. You didn't read everything, right? I know you didn't.
There's nothing to read from. There is no list that details everything that I do.
It is a list, because how would people be directed to you for specific calls when they have them? You would have to know what you can talk about.
Okay. Yeah, so when somebody wants to transfer a call to this unit, this is the description. It says legal presence documents, identity theft. That is the description that they have for transferring calls to us or emails.
But you didn't answer my question. You have an impossibly long list, you said, an impossible list. And that you said some items, but you're going to prove to me that you're not going to say the list. You're going to make it impossible not to describe or not to explain. And I find that highly inappropriate.
That's not what that means.
What it does mean that, because you said it's impossible, and then you also said that you cannot remember it, and so you also would not go and get the list. Apparently there was some place that you had to have read from. It's something that you did not remember, and you did not list that. You said you're reading off of procedures, right?
Yep, but that's not what everything. I just did for you.
That is not everything.
Okay. I answered your question. Do you have any more questions?
You did not answer my question. What else is there that you all do in your...
There is nothing else. There is nothing else. That is the extent of what we do in this unit.
So the question that I asked you, what category would that pertain to, please?
The question that you asked about what I do in the unit?
I asked you a question about the reason for my call.
About your name.
That
would be under record corrections.
And that
was one of the things that I mentioned, was when records need to be corrected, and I tried to assist you with that, and you wouldn't give me the required information that I needed to do that.
And so I'm asking you a question. And so while you getting where you are right now, you can still answer my question. Okay? I asked you, what category would it fall, would it be, what subject is that? Okay? I'm trying to ask you, is that still, and what records exactly do you handle? I'm not here to play any games. I have too much stuff that I have to do, and I can prove it. And I'm not going to have you to try to dismantle my call and discount my call or any of that, okay? What records do you handle in particular? And I never told, and I
driver
asked you not,
and ID record.
Wait a minute. I asked you to be honest about what you said. Do not quote me and do not misquote me. I did not tell you that you could not talk to me about what I called you about. And you have said that now more than one time. And so the records are for driver and ID records. What does ID mean?
Identification card.
Okay, so how is that answering how is what I call for covering things to do with identification cards and driver's license?
Do you have a driver's license or identification card through the state of Wisconsin?
No, I asked you a question and you said that you answered it and you're not. So my question, what does your driver's license and identification card have to do with the question that I asked you?
Because when somebody obtains a driver's license or an identification card through the state of Wisconsin, through the Division of Motor Vehicles, that creates a driver's license record and it creates an ID record. It creates your record. That is where your name is. That is where corrections are made. That is the one and only record that is created for you through the Division of Motor Vehicles. And that is the record that I would correct if you have an issue with your name that needs to be corrected. That's why you are at this unit, so I can assist you with that.
Well, I called
at this point, I cannot even transfer you to another unit. Our public phone lines closed at 4:30. So if it was another unit, I could not transfer you at this point.
Okay, I'm not asking you that. I'm asking about your unit in particular. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm not on this call to humiliate you. So if that's your impression, you can say whatever you want to say. I'm really interested in learning and growing. And I do not have to accept anything less. I do not have to fail. There is no failure. And so if you find that you are intimidated by my confidence and me speaking and talking, that's a problem that I would like to talk to someone that actually administrates over the Department of Motor Vehicle. And me being Jasmine Renee Davis, I can handle that problem. And so now, as far as you saying that whatever is updated for on my perhaps driver's license or whatever, and I didn't even tell you if I have a driver's license or an identification card either. That is important information. And so if you find that because this call has already been 26 minutes, so I called, when I found necessary to call. Now, I know that there are many different problems. And I know that for some reason, my information with court and with Wisconsin, I already explained this to you, with the Wisconsin court system is not valid, okay? And my name is listed as an alias, and all of these different aliases are listed, and I do not know why. I asked you a question. I am the one that called to the right place, first of all, okay? I selected the number 3 prompt on the phone to intentionally, because I heard, no one said, call here to update your name. No one said that. It said things like legal presence and, identity, things like that. So when you want to be as profound or anything like that, you also have to check reference of your own well-being and know that I selected this option because of what I found that is necessary for me to call. However, I may ask questions because I want to learn. And as I am telling you, and this is something that you need to know, is that I have other problems that I have to deal with at the Department of, well, you're not the Department of Motor Vehicles, so this is also a problem. But if you say, well, now it's a division of motor vehicle for whatever reason, I also have a question. Why is it now the division of motor vehicle and not the Department of Motor Vehicle? And what is the difference between the Department of Motor Vehicle and the division of motor vehicle?
It's always been the Division of Motor Vehicles. In Wisconsin, there is no Department of Motor Vehicles. You may be getting the Department of Transportation mixed up with the Division of Motor Vehicles.
Well, I called to the Department of Transportation. That's what I searched for the information of. Okay? And so as far as when I've always known it to be Department of Transportation, and I did not ask you what I'm getting mixed up. That you see your behavior. I don't know if you want to call it behavior, but you're not gonna like configure me into having a behavior or saying that I'm mixing something up, because I already told you that I called to the Department of Transportation, and then I asked you the difference between the Division of Motor Vehicle and the Department of Motor Vehicle. There is a such thing called Department of Motor Vehicle, and now you're telling me that I'm getting stuff mixed up. And how would I ever get anything mixed up? So your attitude toward me is what and why? The tone that you have, and I'm calling, you also have already said that my phone call is not productive. And you have been, I suppose, I'm not going to promote you on anything, but you have been so much of yourself, and you are supposed to be so much of your job. What is your job title?
I'm a customer service representative.
Okay, and so to what degree as far as a customer service representative? What
I am advanced in my position.
You're advanced in your position? What does that mean?
It means that's my title. I am a customer service representative advanced. So that's the degree to which I've been here long enough, and I have skill that I am considered advanced.
And so a part of your advancement is being dishonest when you talk to people on the phone, probably insulting, not having proper information, trying to convince someone that they're mixed up. No, I'm talking to you. No, and you're not going to refer to me as Jasmine. I'm Jasmine Renee
supervisor
Davis.
About your issue.
Oh, you're advanced. I'm talking to you. You've been there long enough to handle it.
Obviously.
No, obviously you're going to sit up here. Obviously, why not? You said that this is the place, and so I'm talking to you. You chose to do all the extra stuff to avoid what I called about. I have been on task and on topic about it. No, you need to know what? How am I not?
About how terrible I am at my job.
Oh, that's what you like to say.
On the phone to help you with.
I never called it terrible. You told me that I'm unproductive. I did not call you stupid.
I heard you do that.
I did not call you stupid.
So what questions do you have, Jasmine?
Are you saying that I called you stupid? Because believe me, if I wanted to call you stupid, I would call you stupid now. I did not call you stupid. And you heard me talking, and so you said that I directly called you stupid to you? I said to you that you're stupid?
What questions do you have?
No, I asked you the question.
About your record.
I asked you the question. You said that I called you stupid.
Yes, that is what I heard on the call.
Did you hear me say that to you?
You said it to somebody in the background that I was stupid. Yes.
No, I did not. No, I did not. No,
okay,
I did not.
Maybe I misheard you. I apologize.
No,
maybe I misheard you.
No. You shouldn't have been wondering what's going on in the conversation that was not to you, though. That if I didn't say it to you, how you gonna sit up there and try to reiterate it? How you gonna try to repeat what I'm saying? I made it very obvious that I'm not calling you stupid. Since you want to bring that up. So whatever you trying to place a blame on me, you are absolutely wrong. But even
There
before
is no
then,
blame.
no,
There is
yes,
blame
it
that
have
I'm
been.
trying to place. I'm just trying to help you.
But you even said even before that the call was unproductive. And as I was talking, you put the music on the phone. You did not tell me that you were going to another level. You did not say that you were checking, and you still haven't told me why you put the music on the phone as I was talking. You were also unethical to me. You were unproductive. You were no, you were unprofessional. And what did you say?
But you haven't given me a chance to explain.
You're not going to sit up here and no, you're not getting away with that with me. You can try that with somebody else. That's not happening. You need to stop that right now, because you know what you're doing? You are causing a very serious problem that really affects people in the real world. It's time for you to grow up and realize that whatever you're doing is inappropriate. You're not going to keep messing up and blaming it on me. You cannot do that. I'm not going to give that a chance. You're not going to ruin my call. You're not going to ruin my reputation. You're not going to ruin my name. You're not going to ruin me. You're not going to ruin the state of Wisconsin. You're not going to ruin so no, I'm not going to give that a chance. You claim that you so advanced and you claim that you are all that, but you sitting up here pointing a finger at me, being blatantly dishonest, being blatantly insulting to me also. I didn't call for that, but you took it upon yourself to refuse to do your job, in which you still are. And then you try to make it, and then you kind of like attackful because I'm asking you questions, and you like kind of like battering me with your responses, and you throwing like, but I didn't give you a chance, and throwing stuff in there, but still not really answering my questions, even though I'm asking you so that I can have a greater understanding. And so you're steady saying like, I'm not giving you a chance, but that's why I asked you, what is your job? I called the job that you're supposed to be doing the job. You're supposed to answer the questions as far as your job is concerned. And you're talking about, oh, you've been there long enough and all that is not what I asked you. You have your level of whatever it is. I don't know, and I'm not going to name that. I told you I didn't call you to demote you. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that, but I did not call you to promote you, and I'm not going to assume anything, and I'm not going to compliment you, and I did not call to insult you, but you said that I did, and that is inappropriate, and I do not take that lightly, and it's unacceptable, and I am going to follow through promptly with this whole situation, and it is insult to a huge problem. Okay, and when I call you and I want a thorough conversation, I can. You don't get to put me in a class of my integrity and of my intelligence and my sophistication. If you are so advanced, you should be able to talk to anyone that calls, because I'm gonna tell you, there are some people with some much more vocabulary than I have, and you're gonna have to do something about your job. You are going to have to make sure that you take care of yourself in the position that you are working in, because someone can come and say something to you civilly because you are working contrary to what that job description is, the things that you're supposed to do. And you asking me if I want to talk to your supervisor? Why? How are you referring to someone that's managing you while you advance and doing this? So you decide to just lie your job down when you got on the phone with me? Or is this how you constantly are? You may not. I'm telling you that I have some stuff in court. And I am doing my very best to talk to you as just as I possibly can. And you sitting up here and you are, being very inadequate to me. And then you telling me that I said from the beginning, But I also had other questions. You do not time my call. You do not classify my call. You do not tell me what I can ask, and you do not tell me my approach or my direction of how I call and what information I want. You do not know my style. You do not know my fashion. You do not know anything about me. You may not give me a title. You may not place me in a bracket or a class. You also may not classify anything that I'm doing and try to like categorize me. You may not do that to me. You may not also belittle me and give me a subject matter and frame me and limit me from expanding. You didn't even tell me everything that you all do. You read off of one sheet of paper. That is not everything. That is not the full scope. And then when I went on to ask you about in particular to specify, because I want to know how I am handling my and walking through my conversation, then you begin to like be like whatever toward me. And I'm still trying to ask you questions. And then I'm like, wait a minute now. I have more questions about that now as I'm to this subject, because you refuse to talk to me about other things, because there may be something that is important. My call holds weight and it's not to be compromised. But you are choosing to do whatever you want to do, and you know, I just gotta call it inappropriate. But if I have, you know, if I don't have a different, like if my driver's license is not, if I don't have if I'm not registered as a citizen, or, you know, but I have court cases in Wisconsin, you know, if I have all these, I have questions, and I'm serious. I don't know what your function is, but, you know, can you bring some of your job into the equation at all? Seriously. Like your actual advancement, exactly who you are. This is kind of like, you know, it's a problem. I'm serious about my questions. I am growing and I am learning, and I don't have to just accept any old kind of education. That's another problem. And you may not violate that.
I understand that, and I do sincerely apologize for my behavior. It was not my intention to come across as rude or anything towards you. That was not my intention. I sincerely apologize. I am doing my best to assist you and to help you with the questions that you have. I would appreciate if they were questions related to the issue at hand and the reason that you called, because that is a part of my job description where I am here to help you with those questions. And if you'd like to move on and to discuss those questions, I would be very happy to help you. Hello, are you there?
I'm Jasmine Renee Davis.
Can I get your date of birth to try to pull up a record for you?
Okay, I want to know if you have something more to say, because I didn't accept what you just said, because everything that I said, that was your reply. Are you saying that I was not talking to you on subject, and are you still trying to tell me what I can call about? And I also asked you to tell me all that you do, but you decided to tell me only so much so that I can only talk about so much. You may not control me. I have been on topic with everything that I have.
That was not my intention.
You keep saying it was not your intention.
I didn't understand that you wanted every single thing listed out for you. Once you explained to me that you wanted every single thing, I provided you with that.
No, you did
not.
I
have provided you with that list. Yes, I have.
That was not everything. I provided you with
every single thing that I do in this unit.
But I asked about the unit. What does the unit do? Not you. I want to know what the unit. And what is the name of that list? What's the name of the unit? What's the name of that unit? What's the name of it?
It doesn't have a name. It's not.
What's the name of the paperwork?
On our website or anything.
I have access to anything that the Department of Motor Vehicle does. And if you're doing something that I don't have access to, you should not be doing it.
Yep, you can probably make a public record request for our procedures. The article is titled Driver Eligibility Unit. That's what I'm looking at. It consists of all of our procedures, and it lists a broad like topics that we handle, and from that is what I told you from each topic, like fraud or cancellations, and then I listed all the things that we do with fraud or all the things that we do with cancellation. So they're not written out, it's just what's in my head from those broad topics. So there is no actual list.
So why didn't you just name the topics?
Because that's what I did initially, and then you said that was too broad, so I went more in depth for you.
No, you're being dishonest. You just said that you named a broad list. I did not tell you that it was too broad. I told you that it wasn't exactly, and it wasn't enough. So when you say broad, what do you mean? Because I did not say anything about broad. You may not continue to falsify statements. You may not speak for me.
I apologize if I said
you apologize.
That
that's
that
fine. But what more can you do than apologize?
I gave you a broad list when you first asked the question.
I know. Okay,
and then
so
when you asked again, I gave you a more in-depth list. And that is the extent to which I can tell you. That is all that there is to tell about it.
So you said that you went off of the top of your head about things, right?
Based on these topics that are provided in this article, yes.
So, but you told me that you read everything, that you did not use your own comprehension, though.
So, I don't recall saying that, no.
So what was it that you said?
I told you that there are topics here in front of me, and based on those topics, I went through each topic, such as fraud, cancellations, legal presence, and listed out each of the things that we do as it relates to those topics.
How many subjects do you all handle within your unit?
Roughly, probably 8. That's going off of these broader topics that I was discussing earlier that are in this article.
And so, what are those 8 subjects? Because you said topics. Subjects and topics are different things. I'm being so serious, and everyone is entitled to have a conversation. And I never interrupt anyone else's conversations. I never go off and abuse anybody when they talk or anything like that. And I'm being very serious about what I'm doing here. And this is a huge problem for me.
As it relates to how I'm speaking, then topics and subjects are interchangeable in the language that I'm using.
And what does that mean?
They mean roughly the same thing.
You're saying roughly because you're speaking in a place to where you are not being specific or detailed. However, you are making sure that you add protections for yourself so that you do not have to effectively have the conversation and say the things that you are supposed to say, but to validate there is some kind of misinterpretation and gap in the line of duty that you are supposed to have. Like it's a lapse in, I would say, communication as well, but I really don't want to call it communication. And so you're saying roughly and things like that. So that tells me that there is more there, but you're giving me, you're summarizing and you are estimating. However, you are not giving me accurate, you're not saying accurate information though.
It is accurate. There are 8 subjects in front of me, 8 topics at which I am looking at on this page. There are 8 of them.
Okay.
There are exactly 8.
And so when you are saying things like roughly and broadly and things like that, it may be accurate information, but it is not the full amount of information. And so you're telling me, when I say that to you, then that's telling me that it's not. I'm gonna
Okay, I
continue
apologize that my language has been misleading. How can I help you as it relates to the questions that you called about today?
Why did you say that your
I really
language is
want
misleading?
to help you about those
Well,
questions.
talk on the phone. So
but
why
you
did
keep
you say?
asking me about my job, and
No,
it's irrelevant
and
to
I
this
can. Oh no, it's not.
conversation.
And how can you? You don't tell me why I called. I have asked other questions as
You
well.
called because you have an issue with your name because
That-
it's showing aliases on court documents.
and
So
that's
something
why.
that I can help assist you with, but I need to be able to pull up a record for you, and you have yet to tell me your date of birth, anything other than your name, so that I can verify a record for you.
Well, because I didn't get to that point yet. Is there a specific time that I have to talk to you about it, or is there a syllabus or anything like that? Is there a specific time where I have to speak about something in particular? And where's that list? Because that should be public information. If there is something that I have to hurry and talk to you about.
Public information is that our public phone lines closed at 4:30 p.m. That is the public information.
Okay.
And I would like to help assist you.
So why are you still on the phone?
we are
And why haven't the
going wildly
phones
off
cut off?
topic here.
No, I'm wildly off a topic. I can repeat everything that I said if I want to, but I can also speak to you effectively and move forward in the conversation. I have not been.
Then let's do so, please.
No, and I have been.
Let's do that, please.
No. Let's not. You be yourself and I'm myself. Okay? I can continue to take care of my business the way that I want to take care of my business. You work in a public office and you should have information and knowledge other than constantly insulting me and blaming me for any efforts that you are doing. Okay? You said that you are being misleading. Why? You said that you were misleading. Why did you say that?
Because that's what you implied with your language, that I was being misleading with using topics and subjects interchangeably. I didn't want you to feel that way. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I do not want you to feel that way because I want to offer you good customer service. So I apologized, and I'm trying to make it right by taking the blame for that.
Okay, so this is more important to say to you about you trying to worry about things that are also inaccurate. Do you care about your job where you just took liability unlawfully for some things that can walk into litigation at a job, a place of employment for the state of Wisconsin? I did not tell you that you are being misleading because you're not leading me. I carry my own conversation. I stand on my own 2 feet. I'm productive, and this is why I'm telling you. And I'm not giving you any permissions to get to a point that you're going to make it of acquaintance to find that you are leading me or that I have to follow a role in conversation. That is not what's happening here. And for you to say things like that, you have a serious problem. And all of these deficits and the things that you are introducing into the conversation are extremely problematic. And I don't know what extreme to another that it is exactly with you, but it is a serious problem. Okay? You know exactly what you're saying. You know exactly how you're doing it. I reference many things, okay, that you have said that has been accurate. I have spoken to you about all kinds of stuff. Okay, about what is happening when I'm calling you. I have asked you questions and you did not even answer those. And so I'm going to continue to talk about other things. In the whole situation, when I'm saying, okay, what about if I am not a citizen of Wisconsin and this and that? You know, when I say, what if I'm not a citizen of Wisconsin, but I have court records? You didn't answer that question. You didn't answer what if I don't have a valid driver's license or if I don't have a driver's license or if I don't have an identification card. You did not answer that question. You did not answer the question when I asked you, how is all of this stuff attached to the court records. You did not answer that question. You also did not answer the question when I told you about where these aliases and all this different information. You said that my call was about aliases. You see how you're dramatizing, or you're doing, I don't know what you're doing, but you have to make sure that you are being as accurate as possible. Do you know that you all ask for organ donations? This is a serious place, and you may not be inappropriate. You have to take this very seriously, and you cannot pick and choose what you want to discuss and how someone is discussing it. Now it's 5:13 p.m. If you do not choose to be on this phone call, then you say that. But you answer the call, and at 4:30, you did not ask to get off of the phone because you had to leave your job. So I am not forcing you to be on the phone, and I am not going to hurry through a call just because of something that you are trying to force me to do. That is not who I am. I am Jasmine Renee Davis, and I am going to have a proper experience on my call. You may not give me inappropriate anything. You are not going to shorten any of the education. You're not going to belittle me. You're not just going to throw some things out there and see what it can stick. And then also, when I have been more proper and the efforts of me talking to you and saying words I can, and only then have you opened up more and said more detailed conversation to me. You answer questions more detailed. Other than that, you have been very minimum with your responses to me, and those actions are questionable. You say that you are advanced. Well, I don't know if you are advanced. That still did not answer what
specific questions do you have, Jasmine?
I'm gonna ask you one more time. Do not refer to me as just Jasmine. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. You are way too
Renee Davis.
I asked the questions already. No, I asked them. I already asked them. Answer them.
Can you please?
Why? Do you need a notepad? No.
I have answered the question.
No, you did not. I just asked you. I repeated. I'm not. You may not continue to have me to
disconnect the call.
You do what you have to do, but you're gonna also have to. This call will be subject to an audit. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I'm aware of that.
Oh,
and audit every call that I make.
No, no. Oh, well, if that's why do your managers audit every call that you make?
They audit every call that every person in my unit makes because it's procedure.
Okay, but it's more than it's more than just a standard procedural audit for them to monitor and manage your phone calls. Your whole department can be subject to audit. Your whole unit, because I asked you thoroughly.
I'm aware of that.
So why are you doing some kind of registration of my voice? Are you doing some kind of I'm asking you, are you doing some kind of registration of my voice that I have to keep asking you the same questions over and over again?
No, I am not.
So I just asked you about the validation of my driver's record, the alias. I asked you many questions of my driver's license, of identification card, of course, and you have not answered any of those questions. Please.
I don't know what those questions were. I have asked you to please ask the questions again.
And why do I have to ask the questions? What would it do if I ask you those questions again?
Then I can answer them for you.
If I am not a citizen of the state of Wisconsin, but there is some court information with my name on it that is inaccurate, such as my name, can you handle that problem? And what would how would you handle that problem? How is that problem to be addressed? I'm asking you questions because I have to gain an understanding.
Okay, if you don't have like a license or ID product from Wisconsin, or you're not considered a resident of Wisconsin, we can still update the record. Likely if it's an issue with your name, and we might have documentation on file, we might be able to just update it like that. But if it's like a full name change or something, we might have to ask for documentation from you, such as a birth certificate or passport, in order to update that. Like if there was an issue with, like, your name was completely wrong or something like that. Sometimes we are able to verify the name through other channels, such as the National Driver Database, in order to update it. It just depends on the case.
Okay, and so where do you get this information from initially? Like when you all like get names of someone who may or may not have a valid driver's license or identification card?
Typically, those cases, like the records are created by law enforcement. So if you got like a ticket in Wisconsin or something, law enforcement would create that record using like your out-of-state driver's license or whatever like identification product that you have.
And so what is that process called? And what is law enforcement exactly?
I'm not sure that there's a name to the process. Law enforcement is like police departments, so your sheriff's department, state patrol, things like that constitute police.
What about private police?
Private police, they don't believe they have access to create records or change records.
You said private police do not have access. You said that. Can you repeat what you said or rephrase it so that, because I don't know exactly what you said. Because I heard you say that you don't believe. Is that what you said? But then I don't know if you're confident in what you're saying. So I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, I'm not confident in this, but I don't believe that like private police have access to that, like security. Like if that's what you mean by private police, like non-government police shouldn't have access to create those kinds of records.
So, but you don't know that. So then that should be that you cannot. That's an answer that's a question that you cannot answer. That so you shouldn't apply an answer to something that you do not know exactly the answer to. So then would you be able to say something like at your job that you do not have the answer for that?
Yeah, I would say that. And like I said, I said I'm not confident in this answer. I wanted to give you the best answer that I could. So that's why I gave a disclaimer that I'm not confident in this answer. But yeah, I 100% don't know if private police have access to those records or that they can create those records. If I had somebody else here, I could ask them, like somebody in management, but at this point I don't have anybody that I can ask.
And so this is, I want to say something to you, and this is why it's important that you maintain documents for your job, okay, to be successful. Because right now, if you're standing alone at your job, you should still be able to do your job to the fullest, to uphold it to the fullest capability that you possibly can. Because you want to make sure that you are being accurate so that you yourself can have the information and be successful as well. You cannot look to someone who is not there, but you are there. You are on the phone. And so you should have references. And never should the state of Wisconsin allow their employees to be illiterate or incompetent or not be able to talk through the information, or you all, any of you should not withhold information as well. And these are all
what
questions.
What other specific questions do you have?
And so what is the system that the law enforcement enters this information, however they find that they want to enter in whatever names that they want to enter into?
I do not know. You would have to contact your local law enforcement, probably Wisconsin law enforcement, to get that information. I do not know that information. My unit does not know that information.
Someone at the Department of Transportation would have to know that information.
Yeah, if you would like, you can call back tomorrow. Our phone line's open at 7:30 in the morning. At that point, you could get transferred to a different unit that might know that information. But right now, I'm not able to transfer you to anybody.
And so I have a question as well. Why would you all accept aliases and names that are not on someone's birth certificate and actually put them on a court document, such as the state of Wisconsin versus Jasmine R. Davis or something like that? You that is accurate information. That is something that people are upholding. That is very serious. And even
The
if you
DMV is not putting anybody's name on court documents. That would be an issue with the court, that they're putting your name on stuff. The DMV is not associated with the court in that way.
So you all do not have any access to the names that are, and you said DMV, but you don't have any access to how the courts put my name on stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's the court itself that is gathering your name and putting it on the documentation. It's not the Division of Motor Vehicles doing that.
So you are not the person that I talked to about the accurate information that the courts are putting on, putting that information out there about. You don't have any control over how it's listed and how it's to be changed or any of that. You said that you don't have anything to do with that.
I can update a name on a Division of Motor Vehicles record, but I can't control what the court puts on documentation. That is up to the court, what they're going to put.
And so you are not the person that I'm supposed to speak to about what is on the state of Wisconsin court records.
For court records, no, you would want to speak to the state of Wisconsin court system. Probably the clerk of courts, if you know the county that it's through, if there's a specific case.
You had mentioned that you are the person that I would talk to about it, where you were at that time. So what happened with the change here? When did the change come into effect? What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Bricken.
Bricken?
Yep.
Do you state your last name?
I'm not required to state my last name.
Okay, so, and you are absolutely right. But you are a state of Wisconsin employee and you would have to identify yourself. But
I've identified myself with my first name and my first name only as required.
And so what I was just doing was telling you that I understand the process of identification and I want to make sure that you know accountability, okay? And so you changed what you said to me. And why? Because that is what I talked to you about thoroughly.
I didn't mean to change what I said. It's possible that your initial question was phrased differently so that I thought that it was something that I could assist with. But hearing your second part of that question, it is not something that we can assist with. We can't control what the court puts on their records or puts on documents.
The problem is I asked you the same question. I asked it to you more than one time. I pleaded with you about the question, telling you that I want to make sure that this is the appropriate place, and you did tell me that you are. I asked you to tell me a detailed description of what exactly you handle in your unit so that I can clarify that, because I find it unreasonable to have to talk to somebody when it's unnecessary. And for me to have this conversation with you, I gave out energy that was appropriate. It's sufficient for me, but it was inappropriate. And so that's a problem. It's a serious matter, because you did tell me that you could change that information, though, that your department is responsible for updating on those court records. And so, but you said that you're not.
I didn't say that we can update court records. I said that we can update your name on the driver record or an identification card record. I didn't say that we can update court records.
I mentioned my name, how it's listed in the courts.
And then said that it was an issue with how your name was listed on the DMV record. So I offered to assist you to see if there was a mistake on the DMV record. We have not yet been able to do that.
You may not continue to place a blame and be dishonest as well, Bricken. Okay?
Okay, what specific questions do you have for me
are
right
in the
now?
fraud department, right?
No, I am not.
What department are you in?
Driver eligibility unit.
And what do you handle there?
I've already told you.
And I asked you,
What specific questions about the record do you have?
So you don't want to repeat what you said?
No, I don't.
So you
already told you.
but you find reason to ask me to repeat myself more than one time, but you refuse to do that?
What specific questions do you have about the record?
I asked
if there is not something that I can assist you with, I will have to disconnect the call.
You do what you have to do. But I asked you, does your department handle fraud? Does your department handle fraud?
We don't do intake of fraud cases. We notate records that have had fraud on them after our actual fraud unit tells us to. They send us the information and we update the records. We don't do any investigating of the fraud. We don't do anything like that. We just update the records when we're told to.
And so one thing that you can have as information is that if you do not know how to word what you're saying, it's okay to pause and say to yourself how you want to answer your questions so that you can continue to keep your level of integrity. Because I never told you that you are a terrible person. I did not tell you that. But you did say that. You said. So what did you say about you being terrible? On your job?
I didn't say anything about me being terrible.
Who were you referring to when you said that word?
I don't recall saying that.
Okay, so is there a reason why? Is there something that I'm doing to cause you to have any sort of do you find this call abusive? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Is there anything that is causing some kind of problem that you have to properly reflect on your call? Do you have windows that can open in your office? Are you able to stretch and move around in your office?
I'm not answering these questions. If you have nothing further to ask about the record or the reason for your initial call, I'm going to end the call. And you can call back tomorrow.
So what is your intention?
And somebody will be able to answer your question.
What is your intention that you keep saying that you not remember and you do not recall on the phone conversation?
If you agree, press 1. If you disagree.
The person hung up the phone. This is a goddamn problem. I asked that person for all that time. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And they're not going to sit up here and just put anything out here on my records and not properly change it. And even where I'm trying to say, even it's my driver's license is reflecting Jasmine R. Davis. And I am Jasmine Renee Davis. I have driver's license that says Jasmine Renee Davis. So when people pick and choose, and when those police officers are when these people are not doing their work, they're not showing their work, they're being inappropriate, and they're mixing up people's name and accuracy, and then they always quick to say how they don't remember or how they have some kind of problem, and they're blaming it all on me. All of these people's reports are constantly as if I am causing a danger or some kind of trouble to them whatsoever. I'm not intrusive to anyone, and so I make sure that I can have a appropriate conversation, and I always have a problem with handling the most sophisticated. I do not have to hire anybody to do anything for me. I can handle my stuff myself. Seriously, this is a problem. This is a serious problem. It is a serious problem, please. This is consistent with a lot of state of Wisconsin agencies or departments or whatever the situation is. Straight up, this is serious. I asked more than one time, and I mean that. I did not beat up on that person. I was not irrational, unreasonable, unproductive. I find that I know exactly what I'm doing. I know the direction that my conversation have been headed. I know how I approach the situation. Nobody is going to tell me how to do anything. You don't put two boxers in a ring and tell whoever. Only thing you have is the rules of what's legal and how you do. I don't know if you can hit below the belt or whatever. And that's why I asked that woman, what is it your job? What do you do at your job? And then I start asking other questions. I said that I did not call her stupid when she said that she is not recalling. I said that I told her to get the information for herself so she can have literacy. Whatever. I'm sure I'm so straight. Like I'm flexible. I'm taking care of myself. I'm doing everything that I have to do for my own thing, and I'm not gonna have these people to constantly make it seem like all over this place that I cannot handle my business, because there's more of them that cannot do their job than I can do mine and some. I can handle any walk of my life, and I can learn. But the start is being myself and being real. And I have that. So I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. I'm going to start another video. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis. I called there, and that was to the division. And then the person will say that they don't deal with fraud and all that. And then you're going to sit up there and explain it. And then one is, what? So now what? You don't want to talk about it now when I question your integrity. So that woman was keeping information from me. And that's what they do. And that's what they have been doing. They pick and choose. That's the school to prison pipeline. It's not only that though. It's a serious problem, and I mean that. And a lot of people don't understand. They don't listen to the whole thing through, and they don't get the full story. And then I always look like the bad person. I always look like the person that is the abuser or the attacker. Not aggressive, but attacker. No, I carry, No. I already know. When a person starts saying, this is unproductive, this is that, and being all whatever, she constantly apologized and saying how sorry she is, and went right back to doing the same thing. And I still was trying to talk it through with her. That's me. I'm Jasmine. I'm here. I'm gonna continue to be myself. Oh. Tell me, I got it mixed up. Like there is no department of motor vehicle. Why can't these people? Why is she said you're trying to make it? Because this. I'm supposed to be stupid, illiterate. You know what I'm saying? It's looked at. Most black people don't have it, especially black women. It's not expected, and black men too. Black people, black boys, black girls. I'm not beating up them people. And they're not gonna come for me on some bullshit. I'm telling you right now. I have my own problems. Shit, I can make trouble for my goddamn self, but I don't need nobody to get in fucking trouble with. Fuck that. They working together and they doing some harmful things. I don't know why they try to cheapen everything out. That's a problem. And I'm gonna learn, and I'm advancing my vocabulary. I'm broadening my speech. I'm not broadening my speech, and that's a word that I'm here at knowing that I haven't said that. I'm gonna expand my speech, and I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna be able to comprehend, and I'm gonna do things effectively. It's a ridiculous situation. This right here says that it is actually something called the Department of Motor Vehicles. And I asked about it. But that person said that I was mixed up. No. It's time for them to be accountable for their actions. And so many people out here going through all kinds of things. And no. I'm trying to look up this word to make sure, because it seemed like this. It's like a retribution or something. But it's not, because I didn't do anything toward them, but that's what they're saying. Like, that's what they would say. Like, I'm being blamed for stuff that I'm not doing, but their paperwork is saying that I'm doing it. I'm going to go ahead so people can watch this video if they want to and hear it for themselves. I'm not giving anybody permission to judge me. All this bullshit in these courts and stuff like that, it need to goddamn change. For real. I'm not going to be subject to this process of bullshit where they need to go somewhere and have somebody that's going to give them the actual books and shit. They're not going to use me for a fucking lifetime of motherfucking me busting my ass talking to them, and then I'm constantly have to starve and go through all kind of dumb ass shit and can't get ahead. They're not slaving me, and that's a motherfucking problem. And they're not cheating me, and they're not prostituting me, and not shrinking me, and also I'm not working for no motherfucking free. I'm not out here out for hire. No, I'm myself. If somebody got something they want to talk to me about, I'm here. I'm Jasmine Renee. I create my life. I'm Jasmine Renee Davis.